All right, it is my pleasure to introduce the next TED Talk speaker to you. The next person coming up here is Shauna LaMagna. Shauna has over 20 years experience as an educator, healthcare professional, and health policy advocate. Currently, Professor LaMagna, as I like to call her, serves as an assistant professor of medical assisting at Montgomery County Community College in suburban Philadelphia. That was a joke. All right, so Professor LaMagna's most recent health policy work has been centered around the No Pain Act, which is a bill that advocates for the use of non-opioids for post-surgery pain management. She has been able to pitch that in front of high level of members of the U.S. Congress. She's also recently published a Open Education Resource, or an OER, examining current events and health law and policy with a Creative Commons license to allow use by educators and students. Professor LaMagna has a Master of Arts in Health Law Policy from Hofstra, a Master's of Science in Education from St. Joe's, and a Bachelor of Science in Health Sciences from the University of Sciences in Philadelphia. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor LaMagna.
I have a confession to make. I hate yoga. Hate it. And I know what you're thinking. No one hates yoga. Downward dog, warrior pose. We love yoga. Get this lady off the stage. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. I've never really felt like I belonged with society's total obsession with all things yoga pants, tights, and everything athleisure. But let's just put that aside for a minute. What I really hate about yoga is the fact that for the last 20 to 30 years, yoga has been recommended for just about anything and everything. I mean, think about it. You have headaches? You should try yoga. Feeling really stressed? You know what'll keep you calm and get you centered? Yoga. Really tired and exhausted? You can get that blood pumping. Just try yoga. No more yoga. It's gotten so bad that it's a little inside joke between my teenage daughter and I. Every time we go to the doctors for anything, on the way to the car, I lean into her and I say, "So, did they recommend yoga?" And she giggles and rolls her eyes and says, of course they did. So as you can imagine, I wasn't really all that impressed when my therapist, who I'd been seeing for anxiety and depression, recommended that I try yoga. Not you two. What's wrong with this guy? Is it because I'm a woman and that's just what women do? Is it because, all right, I admit it, I'm not the most athletic person in the world, and maybe yoga just seems like the most accessible form of exercise that I can try? Well, whatever the reason, I was not doing yoga. Not for this. I mean, I had tried yoga before. I had bought the mat. I had signed up for the class. I had done the poses. Great. No major breakthroughs. How in the world was this going to help with my mental health? And this therapist was the same guy that recommended that I make soup as a part of my therapy. Soup. But then again, it actually helped. So I had to think about it. Now, in his defense, he wasn't just sending me down to the local Y. He wasn't sending me down to a health club for just any yoga class. Where he was sending me was a little nonprofit in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania called Project Healing Hive. And Project Healing Hive has made it their mission to integrate complementary therapies with traditional talk therapy. And they offer their services regardless of a person's ability to pay. And so I went. And there were some things that I saw there that I was expecting to see. I walked in. There was the dim lighting, the plunky music, a room full of women, and yoga pants as far as the eye could see. But there was something new. We didn't just do the poses. We talked about the philosophy and the ethics behind yoga practice. And I learned about how trauma and feelings of depression, anxiety not only impact your mind, but they also impact your body. And so that when we were doing these poses and this body work, what we were doing is we were actually retraining our bodies with a new way to experience these types of feelings. And that was enough to keep me going back. And so when I went back, I noticed that there's all kinds of complementary therapies out there for me. Art therapy, nature therapy, massage therapy, meditation, breath work where we learn about how to breathe and when to breathe. And then Reiki and biofield therapy, which is where I saw the most dramatic results. Now, if you're not familiar with Reiki or biofield therapy, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Don't feel bad, because I didn't either. So you go into Reiki to see a Reiki therapist, and there's usually a table, often very similar to a massage table. You stay fully clothed, no reason to get undressed, and you lay on the table. And some people will use a blanket, some people not. It's really up to your own comfort. And your Reiki therapist will often ask you to identify an intention. What do you want to get out of the session? And they'll also tell you about how to keep that focus throughout the entire Reiki session. The Reiki therapist will lay their hands either around your body or lightly touch your body in different places. Now, when you're undergoing the Reiki therapy, you can experience a lot of different things. There's a study out of Virginia that has examined all different types of experiences that people who've gone through this type of therapy have. And it can be anything from physiological symptoms to spiritual awakening to visions to even an emotional release. Now, for me, it was a combination of the physiological and the emotional. So my heart would really pick up, I'd get heart palpitations, I'd start to breathe really quick, and I'd feel like a pressure on my chest. Not scary, just something that I knew was there. And then I would have the emotional release. Lots and lots of tears. Now, if you know me, you would know that that's no big deal. Frankly, it's shocking I'm not crying right now. But the day is early, stay tuned. And for as amazing as the actual therapy was, what was even more exciting and impressive to me was what happened 24 to 48 hours after the therapy. What happened is that these feelings and thoughts and ideas that I had been talking about in talk therapy, which were really heavy and weighing me down, in some cases for 10 years or even most of my whole life, they were heavy and opaque. Things like guilt, because I let my dad die when he wasn't ready. Shame, because how did I let it get this bad? Anger, because I was there and you weren't. And resentment, because you're free and I'm not. After the Reiki, what happened was that these heavy feelings started to get lighter. They started to become more transparent, and I was able to see them in a completely different way. And what happened was I was finally able to start letting them go. And that allowed me to unwind and unravel those feelings of depression. And the Reiki didn't replace my talk therapy. It did exactly what it was intended to do. It complemented it. It made it work better. So if you're somebody who thinks that Reiki, yoga, and all those things, they're just a little too new age, a little too hippie for you, I get it, I was there. Don't let those biases and prejudices get in your way. If you're a mental health professional who feels like your practice could benefit from the integration of these therapies, look into it, do your due diligence, do your research. Because there's not just Project Healing Hive out there. There's a lot of really great research in Frontiers in Psychology this year and the Journal of Complementary and Integrative Medicine. Now, I recognize the irony in all of this. It's not lost on me that I started this entire presentation telling you how much I hated it when people recommended these types of things as a cure-all for just about anything. And I just want to be clear that there is no clear epilogue here. There's no neat ending. It would be so awesome if I could come up here today and I could say to you, I'm cured. Everything's awesome. I never have to go back. And if you just did X, Y, and Z, you could be cured too. But you all know, especially if you've ever suffered from any mental health issue, that they are relentless and they keep coming back and you have to keep fighting through. And so all I'm really doing is I'm giving you another option, another tool in the toolbox, something else you can try. And that's what I'm going to keep doing. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep making my soup, chicken tortellini, if you're interested. And I'm going to do it in a really amazing pair of blue, not yoga, pants.
Thank you. Shauna LaMagna, everybody. Congratulations.